like to welcome everybody to local government. Thank you for accommodating the time change. Looks like we have a quorum here. City, can you please, clerk, wait, Anna, so we can call the roll. Can we please call the roll? Here.
Smythe here. Caballero here. Arambula. Bradford here. Arambula here. Davis. Knight here. Logue here. Solorio. Ruskin.
Thank you. We do have a quorum. I'd like to take the bills in sign-in order. First up is Assemblymember Cook, although I do not see him. Or is he outside?
Not here.
Yeah. You tell the Colonel that. And
Mr. Chair, would it help to move the consent calendar at this time?
It absolutely would. And before we do that, without objection, we will have a photographer here in the committee room. So we do have a motion on the consent calendar. Second, the consent calendar consists of item number 5, AB 2488 by Mr. Ruskin, item number 6, AB 2530 by Mr. Nielsen, item number 10, AB 2689 by Assemblymember Smythe, and item number 11, AB 2795 from the committee. That we have motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Smythe.
Aye.
Smythe, aye. Caballero. Arambula.
Aye.
Arambula, aye. Bradford.
Aye.
Bradford, aye. Davis. Knight. Knight, aye. Logue. Logue, aye. Solorio. Ruskin. Caballero, aye.
Thank you. Consent calendar is passed. Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
You're up.
Sarcasm in this building.
Item number 8, AB 2672.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee members. On January 27th, 2010, the Federal Highway Administration suspended 4 members of City Council in Riverside County from participating in a federally funded transportation project and program due to criminal indictments, of these council members. One of the members of the City Council was a sitting member on the Riverside County Transportation Commission, the RCTC, which is charged with coordinating highway and transit planning and identifying projects for state and federal funding. With the suspension of the City Council member, the Riverside County Transportation Commission became ineligible to receive any federal funding, which jeopardized millions of dollars anticipated for local projects. Luckily, the City Council member stepped down from the RCTC voluntarily. However, if he or any member of a county transportation commission or special act agency was suspended by the federal government but refused to step down, that suspended member could remain on the county transportation commission or special act agency, and thus it would result in the denial of federal funding. Currently, there is no remedy in state law to the situation that I have described to you. Federal dollars for local projects, particularly transportation projects, are of utmost importance to the economic health and quality of life in a region. The loss of federal funding for something such as a transportation project would have a devastating effect on the short-term and long-term economic prospects of a region. This bill corrects the problem by providing that an appointed individual vacate his or her appointed office when the individual has been disbarred, suspended, disqualified, or otherwise excluded from participating in federal covered transactions as prescribed under federal law. This bill does not speak to the indictment or to the allegations of criminal activity. That has nothing to do with that. It's not judgmental at all. We cannot control whether the federal government will debar an individual from participation. This simply ensures that when the federal government takes action in this manner, we won't jeopardize that funding for local communities, which is so vital right now. I want to thank you, your staff, for the hard work on drafting amendments that went into this bill. I have Mark Watts for the Riverside County Transportation Commission as my witness.
Thank you, Mr. Watts. We do have support on both sides, so just keep that in mind.
Yes, thank you very much, sir. Mr. Chairman, members, I'm here on behalf of Riverside County Transportation Commission. We are very pleased Mr. Assemblymember Cook has taken on this complicated matter, and very grateful for the hard work your consultant staff put in helping us shape up a bill that I think will provide good state guidance in the face of future federal disbarments and suspensions. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other witnesses in support? Any in opposition? Seeing none, any questions from the committee? Mr. Cook, you may close.
I ask for your aye vote.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Motion is Dupass. Smythe.
Aye.
Smythe, aye. Caballero. Caballero, aye. Arambula. Arambula, aye. Bradford. Bradford, aye. Davis. Knight. Knight, aye. Logue. Logue, aye. Solorio. Reskin.
That measure is out.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Cook. Is Mr. Huffman out in the hallway? I'm sorry, Mr. Swanson. All right. Okay. All right, Mr. Swanson, you are up. Thank you. And,
Mr. Chairman, move the bill.
okay, we have a motion. Before we do that, actually, Mr. Ambler, we do have some amendments, I believe, some technical amendments that you were going to take.
Yes. I didn't, no. I don't think so.
They're listed in the analysis that we did speak to your office,
Okay.
and they're
Oh, the
technical.
name, it was technical.
They are
yes.
technical.
Oh, you meant the name change. Oh, yes.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a name.
All right,
Name change, right?
correct. In the section ones.
Yes, I accept the technical amendment. I thought it was a
All right.
Caballero for, it was a Caballero for
Correct.
everything.
All right. So then, Mr. Arambula, with those amendments. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I will, AB 1755 simply adds seismic upgrades to the list of contractual assessments which currently include water efficiency improvements and renewable energy generating devices. And I would ask my witnesses to self-introduce.
Thank you. Please.
Hi, I'm Sue Piper, and I'm an aide to Vice Mayor Jean Quan of the City of Oakland. I'd like to thank Chairman Smythe and members of the committee for hearing this bill. Seismic safety is an ongoing concern for the City of Oakland and much of the state of California. We need to ensure that buildings and homes are properly prepared for the next large earthquake. The Association of Bay Area Governments reported in their 2009 Earthquake and Hazards Report that in a magnitude 7 or so earthquake on the Hayward Fault, that Oakland would lose about a third of its housing. About 26,000 of the 163,000 housing units would become uninhabitable. And so knowing that, our office and the City of Oakland have worked very hard to work on seismic retrofitting. The cost typically associated with seismically retrofitting a house in order to ensure that it's safe can be extremely high. It costs anywhere from $3,000 to $10,000 or more for a single-family home, and $60,000 to $100,000 or more for multifamily soft-story buildings. For many property owners, the cost of retrofitting serves as the primary barrier to having the needed repairs. Assembly Bill 1755 will make seismic retrofits easier to achieve and much more affordable by making it easier for homeowners to protect their homes in the event of an earthquake. This proposal will increase public safety as well as reduce the number of homes that are destroyed in the next big earthquake. And when more homeowners retrofit, fewer homes will be destroyed, allowing our cities to recover that much faster from a major disaster. And this bill, of course, will not cost the state any money, so that's an added advantage. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other witnesses in support? Witnesses in opposition? Any questions from the committee? Thank you. We do have a motion. We need a second. Thank you. Mr. Swanson, you may close.
Thank you. Providing homeowners the ability to make upgrades with improvement and seismic safety will allow local governments to recover costs associated with upgrades through increased assessment values of their homes. Seismic improvements will also create jobs in the construction industry, and so we ask for your aye vote.
Thank you very much. Please call the roll.
The motion is due pass as amended. Smythe?
Aye.
Smythe, aye. Caballero? Caballero, aye. Arambula? Arambula, aye. Bradford? Bradford, aye. Davis? Knight? Knight, no. Logue? Solorio? Reskin?
All right, their bill is on call. You need one vote.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Hill.
Perfect timing.
Mr. Hill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And members, AB 2103 authorizes the San Francisco Bay Restoration Authority to propose a regional funding measure in a regional election instead of separate elections in 9 individual counties. In 2008, the legislature passed AB 2954, establishing the authority as a body to raise and allocate resources for the restoration, enhancement, protection, and enjoyment of wetlands and wildlife habitat in San Francisco Bay and along its shoreline. The legislature declared the authority a regional entity with jurisdiction extending throughout the San Francisco Bay, and to include the counties of Alameda, Contra Costa, Marin, Napa, San Francisco, San Mateo, Santa Clara, Solano, and Sonoma. The authority was given statutory power to develop, and I'm quoting, develop regional mechanisms to generate and allocate additional resources. As part of their mission, this entity has to formulate a strategy for raising local revenues to help restore 36,000 acres of publicly owned bay shoreline in tidal wetlands. One way of raising the needed revenue is to do a voter-approved funding mechanism. However, there is ambiguity as to how the authority can carry out an election as a regional entity. AB 2103 simply clarifies the original intent of the legislature and authorizes the authority to place a region-wide funding mechanism to be decided by tabulating the votes of the whole region, the 9 counties collectively. And that's what the bill does.
We have a motion and a second. We'll go to witnesses, and if you'll notice, there was support on both sides, so please keep that in mind.
Michael Arnold, representing the Association of Bay Area Governments, in support of this measure to clarify existing law.
Very good.
Deborah Ruddock, Coastal Conservancy, just here to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you. Any further witnesses in support? Seeing none. Any witnesses in opposition? Any questions? Mr. Hilliard.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I appreciate the consideration. And thank you to the staffs of both sides for consideration. Thank you, members, for I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you. We do have a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Motion is due pass. Smythe?
Aye.
Smythe, aye. Caballero? Caballero, aye. Rambula? Rambula, aye. Bradford? Bradford, aye. Davis? Knight? Knight, aye. Logue? Logue, aye. Solorio? Reskin?
I'll catch up. I just walked in, so I'll stay off for now and catch up with where you are. Jerry.
Well, in spite of that, Mr. Ruskin, the bill is still out. So, Mr. Hill, congratulations.
Oh, it's Jerry? Aye. Thank you, Mr. Ruskin.
Mr. Ruskin, I believe? Yes.
Reskin, aye.
All right. Well, your bill is still out.
No.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Chair.
you.
Thank you, members. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Huffman.
You will, Jerry.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and members. I am here to present on AB 2182. And as you know, and the committee knows, under the state's contractual assessment program, which started out as AB 811, public agencies and special districts can offer loans to property owners to make energy efficiency and water use efficiency improvements on their property. This bill expands that successful program to provide financing for homeowners to replace leaking sewer laterals and to upgrade septic systems in order to provide water quality improvements to surface and groundwater. I want to just say right at the outset, I think this is extremely complementary and compatible with the program that we've created for both energy and water use efficiency, but because they're both under the rubric of resource management, the public benefit for this type of financing scheme is very, very direct and clear. And, one might say, what have we accomplished with the water use efficiency side of the AB 811 program if we allow water contamination to cause water supplies to be lost on the back end of this resource management challenge? So, as you know, Mr. Chair, cost is the primary impediment to private homeowners making these changes. That's why every time someone around the state points out the problem with aging septic systems, communities go ballistic. That's why we haven't been able to get at the chronic problem in areas like the Bay Area and my own district, where every time it rains, our sewage system turns into a stormwater system, overwhelms downstream facilities, and we see sewage spills. The biggest part of the problem, many people think, is on the customer's side of the system, those laterals. And the only way to get at that problem is to provide some way for them to bear a pretty sobering upfront cost of making those improvements. So I think this is a very innovative and hopeful way to get at that program. And with that, I would invite my witnesses to present on the issue.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman Smythe, members of the committee. My name is Paul Jones. I'm the General Manager of the Irvine Ranch Water District. AB 2182 would give public agencies like Irvine Ranch Water District the option to offer our customers financing for conversions of on-site septic systems to a community sewer system and for replacement of the leaking or failing sewer laterals. From our perspective, this is a tool that can be used right away and is very much needed. Irvine Ranch Water District is working with a community in our service area to develop options for implementing a sanitary sewer system. This area, known as Orange Park Acres, was originally developed in the 1920s, and like a lot of areas, they have very leaky interceptors, on-site sewer systems, as well as 500 homes in the area have on-site septic systems. The lack of public sewer system in this area has actually caused homeowners to not be able to make home improvements or expansions on their property because the county has conditioned building permits on either having a septic or a sewer system in place or for upgrading septic systems and putting in pre-treatment systems that can be very expensive. Why, as a public agency, we can offer the community financing options for the public sewer systems in the public right-of-way. We don't have the authority to offer owners financing for their on-site conversion costs to the publicly owned system. The cost for a property owner to disconnect and properly abandon a septic system and to connect to a community sewer system in this area or to replace aging sewer lateral can be quite expensive. The on-site cost can be as much as $14,000 for a septic to sewer conversion, $12,000 for a lateral replacement, and if they need on-site pumping, that can be another $10,000. So even if the wastewater agency can come up with an affordable financing plan for the public sewer system, the out-of-pocket expenses for a homeowner for the on-site sewer improvements can be quite cost prohibitive. AB 2182 would provide a way for our Orange Park Acres customers and the customers of other wastewater agencies with similar needs to voluntarily participate in assessment districts to pay for the on-site sewer conversions over time. We'd provide the upfront funding for the project, and the property owners would pay an annual assessment through their property tax bill, and to those funds plus the interest are repaid. I think it's important to note the ability to implement septic system conversions and lateral replacements is not only important to the homeowners and their property values, but is critically important to protecting water quality, public health, and the environment. Leaking septic systems and private sewer laterals can easily contaminate groundwater, and as Assemblymember Huffman mentioned, also cause sewer backups and overflows which drain into creeks and river systems. AB 2182 would, in many cases, make the needed septic system conversions and lateral replacements economically feasible for homeowners to pursue. And for these reasons, we urge an aye vote on this bill. Thank you.
Thank you. And just as it is custom of the committee, we allow 2 lead witnesses, and so the rest of the time divvied up. So, please.
Okay. Mr. Chair and members, my name is Harry Saradarian. I'm the Executive Director of the North Bay Watershed Association. NBWA. The NBWA is a group of regional and local agencies in Marin, Napa, and Sonoma counties. The mission of the agency is to facilitate partnerships across political boundaries to promote the stewardship of the North Bay watershed resources. We have several technical committees, and one of them is a water quality technical committee, and they identified private laterals as a major problem 3 years ago. The NBWA provided some seed funds so that the Marin Wastewater Managers Group could develop a program including technical assessment and public outreach to deal with private laterals. The basic problem is, even though using Marin as an example, they've spent over $250 million in the last 10 years to deal with the public part of the collection system, they still have a problem with the private laterals, which in most cases can be more than half of the mileage of the collection system. They are working hard on this program. They're close to finishing now. They have reached agreement on technical procedures as far as inspection and requirements for repair and rehabilitation. But a major challenge identified was, how do you pay for the private lateral repair or replacement? They've identified some possibilities, but AB 2182 provides a very valuable tool for dealing with this problem across the board. The NBWA board reviewed the AB 2182 language at its March meeting and unanimously approved not only supporting but sponsoring the bill, and we urge an aye vote.
Thank you. Other witnesses in support?
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. Christina Dillon DeCaro, pinch hitting today for Mike Dillon, representing the California Association of Sanitation Agencies. We're in strong support, and we thank the author for his leadership.
Thank you.
Michael Arnold here on behalf of the Three Valleys Municipal Water District in support.
Thank you, Mr. Arnold.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. Kyle Packham with the California Special Districts Association, representing 1,000 special districts, including irrigation districts, water districts, sanitation districts. We are in support of the measure.
Great, thank you. Any other witnesses in support? Witnesses in opposition? Questions for Mr. Arambula?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I support this bill because I see it as another tool or mechanism to help provide for the integration of unincorporated communities that might be adjacent to or in the path of development of cities. So I think it's well thought out, and I'd be pleased to move the bill, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Loeb.
Mr. Huffman, I think this is a good bill, and primarily because I'm really a big believer in local government having a bigger say over their own infrastructure, and I think it's a win-win. Been in real estate for 35 years, I think this is an issue that will cause property values to increase.
Yeah.
And so as long as it's optional and it's up to the cities and the community to make this decision, I'm going to support it, and I hope that doesn't cost you your bill passing.
I'll accept that support proudly. Thank you, Assemblymember Loeb.
Thank you. Any other questions? Seeing no, Mr. Huffman.
It's a great bill, I think. No opposition. Certainly consistent with bills that you have supported in the past, Mr. Chair. So I want to thank the committee for its support. And,
thank you.
Respectfully request an aye vote.
Happy to take a motion. Mr. Arambula, Mr. Logue. Please call the roll.
Motion is due pass. Smythe?
Aye.
Smythe, aye. Caballero? Caballero, aye. Arambula?
Aye.
Arambula, aye. Bradford? Bradford, aye. Davis? Knight? Knight, no. Logue? Logue, aye. Solorio?
Solorio, aye.
Solorio, aye. Reskin? Reskin, aye.
The measure is up.
Thank you,
Thank you, Mr. Huffman. Ms. Brownlee. All right, Ms. Brownlee.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. The Los Angeles region faces critical and very costly stormwater and urban runoff pollution challenges. as trash, bacteria, and chemicals run untreated into the ocean and in numerous waterways. Almost 100 different pollutants can be found in waters at amounts significantly above both federal and state public health standards, hurting human and marine life, as well as the region's economic vitality. AB 2554 would authorize the Los Angeles County Flood Control District to implement a fee to fund clean water projects, but only upon voter approval and consistent with the provisions of Proposition 218. A state revenue stream will not only help manage and treat runoff, but spur green job creation and the development of community green spaces. AB 2554 is an important first step in addressing the region's significant pollution problems in the face of rapid urbanization, aging infrastructure, and strict clean water laws. I respectfully ask for your aye vote. And I have Mr. Wall here from LA County.
Mr. Chairman, members, Dan Wall representing the Board of Supervisors of Los Angeles County. We're the sponsors of this bill. It's a critical measure for the county, for its unincorporated areas, and we hope to have an agreement with the cities during the course of this year, and at that point we would amend the bill to be a more comprehensive regional and watershed-based approach. But as of now, we have a problem in the unincorporated areas affecting 1.5 million people in the county. We're moving this forward. It's, I think, a great first step, and ask for your aye vote.
Thank you. Any more witnesses in support? Thank you. Witnesses in opposition? Mr. Wolf.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members, David Wolf here with the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association. We're opposed to the bill today. We do acknowledge and agree with the author that this does, as far as we can tell, comply with Proposition 218. I think there was alleged council opinion on that as well. That's not the issue. The issue is that flood control districts already have the ability to raise money either through bonds or special taxes, and we don't believe they should be given this additional authority to impose an assessment when only one other flood control district in the state, according to the analysis, has that authority. We just think there's plenty of additional revenue options in order to get the money, and we don't think they need this other option. So for those reasons, we'd ask for a no vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other witnesses in opposition? Questions from the committee? Ms. Caballero?
I don't have a question. I just have a comment. I know, Ms. Brownlee, that you've been working very hard on this, and I did note the comment in regards to the cities, and I would assume that if the cities are included in any way, that it'll come back to the committee so we have an opportunity to look at it. So,
absolutely.
Thank you very much, and I will support the bill, and I move the bill if it hasn't been moved.
Second.
Thank you. Just a question for Mr. Wall. If a deal is not worked out with the cities, kind of what I mean, obviously the bill in of itself, but then does that make any difference?
Well, I mean, it makes a difference in the sense that the optimal approach would be regional, and we will not let up on that. It's the wish of the board to have a regional approach, and this is the third year that we've tried to reach an accommodation with the cities. The other 2 years, I don't think the negotiations were as in earnest as they are this year, and that's why I'm optimistic that I think we'll get a deal.
If I know that the board was not unanimous in moving this, can you maybe quantify a little bit of what went on at the board hearing and how
you mentioned that to me yesterday, and like a blockhead, I didn't go look at the roll call on this. She did something funny, I'm sure, but it's all. If I was to hazard a guess, I'd say for sure it was a 4-1, and it could have been a 3-2, but I just don't know for a fact.
Okay. Any other questions? Seeing none, we have a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Motion is due pass. Smythe?
Not voting.
Smythe not voting. Caballero? Caballero, aye. Arambula? Arambula, aye. Bradford? Bradford, aye. Davis? Knight? Knight, no. Logue? Logue, no. Solorio?
Aye.
Solorio, aye. Ruskin? Ruskin, aye.
That measure is out.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members.
We do have one measure on call committee. It is AB 1755 by Mr. Swanson. That's item number 1. Current vote is 4-1. Please call the roll.
Davis. Logue. Solorio. Davis, aye. Solorio, aye. Reskin. Reskin, aye. Bill's out.
Correct. This was item number 1. All right, that bill is out. And we do know that just announced that Assembly Bill 2003, item number 2 by Mr. Mendoza has been pulled from the agenda. So I apologize for all of you that have been waiting. We just got word ourselves as well. This concludes our local government committee for the day. Without objection, we'll leave the roll call open for another 10 minutes to allow members to add on, and after which time this hearing will stand adjourned. So those that wish to add on, please go ahead and work their way up.